Let's deep dive into the collectively crushed soul of the degenerate trifecta in a segment we hate to call BetAches. All right, well, you know mine. I mean, I had the Clippers to make the playoffs. I bet against the Pelicans to make the playoffs. This was all preseason. And then I added on for the Nets and the Clippers to advance. And I had the Clippers to win the championship. And I had the Clippers separately to make the playoffs. I had all these bets. And by Friday's podcast, guys, I was demoralized. I had counted myself as a loser, right? And then that was right when we had learned about PG-13's fate, right? COVID not playing. Yeah. And then when they went behind a dozen in the second quarter, I checked out of our chain. I was like, that's it, guys. I'm done. How many times am I going to lose the same bet? So I did not watch, and I swear on my kids, I did not watch the rest of the way. I was checking in because I did see your guys' text like, wow, whoa, they're really doing this? Oh, my God. And I'm like, all right, let me check. And I still didn't say anything. Still in my mind, counted it as a loss. Didn't say anything. But I also stupidly had Ingram under 28.5 points. And then when the Clippers were up in the fourth quarter, I think it was either late third or early fourth, I was like, wow, Ingram, who had 18 in the first 14 minutes, still has 18. What's going on? That was my mistake. Because as soon as I said that, Parlay Kid, Brother Brian's like, well, he just scored. He's up to 20. And Parlay Kid's like, yep, there it is again. Scored again and again and again and again. And there went the Clippers lead and they lost. But I do have to say there was something soothing about not watching it. Like I don't have the visuals of them blowing it. Like I said, I had already come to terms with the fact that I lost the game. I didn't have the visual, right? Like I don't how many times you have to visit your grandfather in his deathbed when he's on morphine. Right. Like I don't need to see it over and over. I went home and I went home a loser. And F you Clippers. I can't believe they did that. Parlay Kid, you had the Clippers also.
Well, I didn't just have the Clippers, Sal. This is one of these bets we made, although I know Harry was on this, so we'll talk about this in a second. But we had the multi-team will make the playoffs. The Nets, check. T-Wolves, check.
Right.
Hawks, check. We're down to the last one, the Clippers, for plus 470 that they make the playoffs. And the rest is history. So, I don't get that. Plus 470, I was very convinced that was hitting. You know how I felt about the Clippers going into that game? All my feelings were validated, at least, till that, mid-fourth quarter. Things were looking good. But then I started thinking, well, Harry was on that same parlay that I was on, but yet he picked the Pelicans to win the game on that podcast. So I'm a little confused. Again, Harry picking both sides, and then he celebrates to, hey, I went 4-0. Well, Harry, the other day you picked this, and you went, you lost this parlay. So
look, no PG-13, so that the line moved 5 points. And guess what, Darren? Darren, you should know better.
That's bullshit, Harry. If we're all on a plus 470, you should be on it. I'm still, on a minus 1170. You should really be on it.
True. Right. True, but you can't trust the Clippers. I said that on the podcast. Can't trust the Clippers. And remember, last year's playoff series against Dallas, every team won on the road in that series except Game 7 when the Clippers won Game 7. You just can't trust the team, especially not in this situation without PG-13 playing.
Well, and Sal, how about right as soon as that, was it LeBron that sent the praise of Tyronn Lue there as his coach, right? Yeah. As soon as we see that come across, I'm sorry. He lost 2 terrible games in the playoffs here. PG, look, you could throw George out of the equation. You were up 13 with how much time left?
Oh, Jesus. Was it 13? Was it 13?
Yeah, it was 13. See, Sal doesn't even know what they were up.
I swear. It's better that I didn't know, except now I know. So
13 points, Sal. You guys know better than me at this point. You're up 13 with 10 minutes left.
At home.
At home. Game. Yeah. What are the odds? Is it minus 800 at that point?
Depends if I bet it.
What is it?
Well, we knew. I sent you guys at that point in time, and I guess that this is the negative of not watching the game is the Clippers went to minus 1600 or minus 1700, and the Pelicans were up to plus 800 for a short window. So
that's crazy. That's right.
If Sal was following it, he might have been able to hedge that a little bit because it was getting the 8-1. But it went away. It went away so
have.
quick. But it went away so quickly, though. It was like it was up there and it was gone.
Son of a bitch.
Ridiculous. It was really, honestly, like you have the Pelicans. You have this kid that from Virginia, right? Who I don't even remember him playing for Virginia. He's knocking in threes, getting crazy bounces, at least on one or two of his shots.
There's just so much I don't know. The NBA just
and it was
me.
frustrating watching that at the end, Sal, because you are looking at the Clippers at this point, and you're going like, it's like Morris is like your best scorer, and like he
Trey
never
Murphy
gets a
you're
great
talking
look.
about,
Yeah,
right?
it's Trey
Trey
Murphy.
Murphy?
Yep.
Right. Like a guy like Morris on the Clippers, he never gets like a great look where you're like, you feel like he's beating his guy. He makes some shots, but it's like, man, he's the option now. That's why as soon as the Hornets, the Pelicans were making their run, I'm texting like Brian, like, we got to get Powell. Powell had a bad game, but I felt like
what I saw, he had a really bad game, but I failed in the first.
But I have to say,
quarter. Yeah.
Powell was the one guy who could get to the hoop when he wanted to for that team. He was just missing a lot, but he was their best offensive weapon. And then he was out when that run was happening. And I was getting frustrated with that.
You know who wasn't a good offensive weapon? Babyface Joel Solomon, who was at the game. By the way, that crowd was dead. I know when I was tuning in, there were a dozen down. Dead. Babyface. I don't know if you were screaming, but no crowd there. Was it different or on our TVs?
I mean, I, for one, was screaming my head off. At one point, I was like, do I glue myself to the floor to try to change the momentum?
Right.
I didn't bring any glue.
Oh, so that was out.
But,
Does flannel work? Does flannel work with glue? I'm just checking.
No. Well, so I did catch a free shirt, so I will bring that to you when
I don't want it. Although I may need it. I may have to sell my wardrobe here at this point.
I'm with Parlay Kid though. They were down 10 at half. By the end of the third quarter, it was a 20-point swing. They were up 10, but then the Clips, they didn't change back from small ball. They never put Zubac back in, and the Pelicans adjusted. And that was the other thing is I had when PG went out, I was like, oh well, who's going to step up from the Clippers? I of course took Zubac to score 10 or over, and he had 8 at halftime. I'm like, oh, this is great. They never put him back in, so that was
it.
Yeah, I could just continue.
Gotta love that. Crazy.
Right. Enough of this game. Harry, go ahead. Tell us one of your bettings. It wasn't the Pelicans Clippers because you obviously bet the Pelicans, even though you had the Clippers. I don't know.
I don't know. Look, Sal, not good job by you again with Spieth, but I real quick, I got two here real quick. I had Corey Connors, top 10 at plus 270, finishes 12th in the last 13 holes on Sunday. He goes 1 birdie, 1 bogey, and he was in the top 10 all day long and all day on the whole tournament.
One birdie, one bogey, and he
one
dropped
birdie,
out
one
of
bogey
the top
last
10?
13 holes, and he finished at 12th, doesn't finish in the top 10. And I had him to win too, so that was a screw job. But more than anything, my big parlay on Saturday was I already had a winner in hockey. I had the over.
We know what this is.
Now FanDuel allows you to. It's good and it's kind of bad now. They allowed you to maybe use a same player in a couple different types of parlays.
Oh, that's your go-to. You tried that in the 1980s.
And my extra points parlay that day, I'm bragging, like you said. I wasn't bragging. I was just mentioning. But whatever. I said that I had Klay Thompson over 3.5 threes. He had 4 in the first half, had 14 points in the first half. So all I needed was Klay Thompson to score 20 points. And I win the parlay paying almost $500. That's all I need. He hits a 3 right off the bat in the third quarter. Then he makes a layup. He's got 19 points with 7 minutes and 26 seconds left in the third quarter. I need one more point out of Klay for $500. Not only does he not score another point the rest of the game, he doesn't take a shot. You fucking kidding me? He doesn't take a shot.
Well, they were killing him. Was he in the lineup?
He was in the game plenty. He was a decoy. He was a decoy for Poole and for Curry the rest of the way. It was ridiculous. Not
the
one
bottom
shot.
line. The bottom line is Harry did it to himself again. Connors.
Yeah.
On Thursday, he's proclaiming him a winner already. Connors, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
60 holes left, Harry.
Right. And he's not even in first. It wasn't even in first at that point. It wasn't like he was still like 3 behind the leader, and he's celebrating as if he won. And then the Klay thing, he got very cocky about Klay. Like Klay Thompson, boys. Yes. Whatever it is. And you knew as soon as he did that, Thompson.
I don't know.
So Darren, I need a point. 7.5 to go.
That's
He had
pathetic.
33 his last 3 games, at least 33 his last 3 games.
I've been there with these player
you
props.
say that,
it's
but I
rough.
think Warriors numbers, I wonder if you took Warriors under over all the last few years. It just seems like they're involved in blowout games or they get injured
it's
or
true.
something.
That's, you know.
I don't
And then
know.
you also
I'm not
mentioned,
saying-
Sal, you also mentioned, how do we not take advantage of these favorites? Well, because probably got gun shy because I lost a 6-teamer with Memphis
right.
money line. Memphis money line against the Timberwolves. That was brutal. So then you don't want to take the favorites
Or
anymore.
you're too busy putting the same player on a parlay 6 times. Like, I don't know. But you can't get good odds for that. You
Yeah, I
know
gotta
they take
get one.
that in.
I don't know. Why
No,
not?
but here's what I'm saying. If you have Klay Thompson over 24.5 points, whatever, and you have him over 3.5 threes, you're not getting minus 110. You might normally, if you separated, get minus 110 on those. They're
Well-
not letting you put that on a parlay and get the same odds. They're not. You know they're not.
Yeah,
Check it out.
they're adjusting them.
Try
yeah.
it. Yeah, they adjust the odds. If you're
Yeah.
stacking the
If
same
Klay
player,
Thompson's going to get, well, here's obviously my theory is if he's going to get 4 threes, which I gave out an
Yeah.
extra point, that's 12 points. You need 8 points for the rest of the game.
right?
Give me
you
a
think
fucking
they're
break.
not keeping up with that? You think this is something
I
like,
don't
oh
care
my
about
god?
the odds. I want to win. I know that's a winner. Give me the fucking
right.
winner.
All right, listen, I'm. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy you lost. All right, brother Brian. Go ahead.
I know.
Well, I will say you could tell even before the podcast started, Harry was not in a good mood. So you could see he obviously lost pretty much everything, and he didn't even bring up his Sharp Tank pick this past week, which is funny. He took Luke to beat Muhammad, but the funny thing about that is because he texted me during the week. Not that he said he did this on purpose, but I think he thought. The reason why I think he took them as his Sharp Tank pick because he thought Darren was going to take Luke in that fight. So he figured, you know what? I'm going to rush. I'm going to put this in. I'm going to get it in before Darren.
Really?
And then Darren goes the opposite way, and then Muhammad wins
Good
that
for
fight.
you.
So,
Good for you. I think the other thinking in that, Brian, is I don't have ESPN Plus, so what do I give a shit? I'm not going to watch it.
Listen, you didn't watch the Clippers. I didn't watch MMA. That's it.
You didn't even need it. Yeah, that was on one of the ESPN. I don't think you needed ESPN Plus to watch that, right?
That was on
Oh,
regular.
really?
That
I
was
think
just
I just
on-
went
yeah,
to
you
it
could've just
automatically.
watched it.
Yeah, it was on regular ESPN.
Yeah, so
All right. Well, he doesn't
Well,
have
I
that
was
either.
I was already too pissed at Clay already. So
that was an ass kicking by Muhammad, like just as I predicted.
Yeah, Muhammad was good.
That was good. That was good.
Muhammad was good, but yeah, I don't. You know, I can't top Harry's stuff, but I will say. The Timberwolves have absolutely screwed me, and the Clippers the last couple of days, right? I just cannot get these teams right. And then on top of losing the Clippers twice, going against Timberwolves, I went against Minnesota again the other day, and got killed on that one. So now between these two teams, I've gotten murdered. I have a ton riding on Memphis just in this series, so it's not looking good. I'm not feeling comfortable at all in this series. And on top, but that screwed me for the whole weekend. And then on top of that, my Sharp Tank, I gave out the Spence Ugas fight, which was a good fight. And I thought, as kind of predicted, that Spence kind of takes over the fight late in the fight, but just the eyes, they stop on the eye swelling, which I can't fault anybody for stopping on that, but that's it's kind of an unlucky break when, normally that fight's going to go the distance.
When do they stop it in the 11th or the 10th? Or between the
10th? Like
in
his
the
eye,
10th.
I mean, it was just going to get worse, and they
Still
said
got 7 minutes. Yeah,
he couldn't see out of it. But that's more of like a.
Well, babyface, are we going to get Errol
break.
Spence on? Maybe he can apologize for Bry for not,
come on.
not carrying the opponent there. That was a good fight from everything I read. But we're going to try to get Errol Spence there. All right, let's hear the BetAches music one more time.